Tuning into another episode of OneThird Podcast. This is episode 36. You sleep for 1/3 of your life. You work for 1/3 of your life. What are you going to do with the rest?
What up, what up, what up? How we doing?
So today's topic at hand, let's talk about, it's a really, really juicy one. We kind of briefly mentioned it last podcast, but not really. We said we were going to talk about it in a different podcast, and here we are, man, episode 36. So let's talk about social media and phone addiction in specific at first. So what's your guys' view on that? Let's talk about personal stuff a little bit later to see if like we're addicted or if we ever were addicted. But like, what do you think about that whole thing in general? Just like as a society, like kids and adults or whatever.
So, I guess I can start it off. I think society as a whole, we don't necessarily have a problem with phone addiction in itself. It's more about the things on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me personally, I'll just kind of relay it. Like, when I had Instagram a couple months ago, and a couple weeks ago, and as soon as I deleted it, I noticed myself not touching my phone. Like, I'd go on my phone for like 10 seconds, realize there's nothing to do on your phone.
I know what you're saying.
And then close the phone, right?
Yeah, yep.
So like that's just my view. I think like phone addiction is not necessarily about the phone or the technology itself. It's just about the way that we use the technology. We don't necessarily use it for how it's meant to be used.
Yeah, like iPhones, you can do anything on there. You know what I'm saying? That's why you spend so much time on it. If it's just like a Nokia 3000, what are you gonna do on it?
For sure.
At least you can just use it to call. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, it's so capable.
Yeah, this iPhone now on these things, bro, you can do whatever you want.
100%. It's almost a waste for me to have my phone because I don't have any of the apps that I used to have a couple years ago.
That's funny that you say that because I've been thinking, man, like I don't even need anything on my phone.
I know.
Like, I don't even need the phone itself. I obviously paid it off, but I'm paying like $60 a month just to have the gig, the data, the fucking calls, the texts, all that.
You're paying $60 a month to have the opportunity to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But you're not really using
it.
No, I'm the same way. I think the next time that I'm eligible for upgrade, I'm definitely gonna like actually go down. I might force myself to get the whole phone only has buttons, and then we'll really get to productivity time. But we'll see. That's gonna be a hard switch. As I said it before, due to my work has that, and I admire the heck out of him because I see him on lunch break, whatever, whip out that thing, pop it open like that, send a text. I'm like, damn.
I'll tell you this.
I'm over here on my phone. I'm like, God damn.
I've had one of those, man. Hard to text on.
I had one.
You better only be taking phone calls.
Yeah.
And knowing you, ain't nobody reaching Tyson.
That's good though, man. I don't want to be on that
straight to the answering machine. That's full.
Hopefully there are only going to be like 3 or 4 people that can freaking contact me.
That's full.
Yeah, that's full. Because there's so many people who tried.
Seriously, bro.
That's
a topic for another hand. But let's continue with the conversation we were having.
So I was gonna say, like, is that your opinion, kind of on phone addiction?
The phone addiction and stuff. I don't know. That's a tough one because I agree with what you're saying when it comes to I think people are more addicted to what's on their phone, but I feel like the habit itself is just so hard to kick. Because at first, when I deleted Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all those kinds of things, I would just pick up my phone, open it up, and I didn't have anything to look at. I just found myself looking at maybe old pictures now or my damn stock app and see what the weather is in certain cities. But
you just want to be on it.
For sure. Which I feel like is just somewhat of a habit to just like maybe the physical action of looking on the phone and stuff. But no, I agree with what you're saying when it comes to what's on the phone. Because when there wasn't any of that stuff on my phone, I was, like you were saying, I was like, man, there's nothing to even do on here.
And that's kind of like for people who smoke cigarettes. Once they quit, they have a lot of trouble, like fidgeting with their fingers and feeling the need to put their fingers up to their mouth, even though they don't have cigarettes. That's kind of like the same thing you're talking about. You have the need to take out your phone and look at it, but you don't have anything on there to actually like fill that need that you're looking for.
No, most definitely. No, most definitely. What do you think, Bashar? What's your take on that whole thing?
I kind of agree with that, actually. But honestly, I think also, like, it's, like, from a time frame. You know what I mean? Like, from when we were in junior, like, I'm kind of thankful that we didn't kind of have phones because, like, from, like, junior high on, like, kind of from personal experience, everybody had a phone, literally.
Yeah.
That was, like, the whole mojo. You have a phone, you're freaking cool. You know what I'm saying? Yo, what do you have on this? What do you have on that?
For sure.
Everybody's there, right? But it makes you realize, like, it's honestly not even worth it. Like, what are you really going to do on it? Nothing really. But, like, back then, games, this, that, Flappy Bird. You guys remember all that?
Oh, it was so new.
It was so new. Everybody's on that. You have iPod, iPhone, iPad.
Were we in like what, grade 7 or 8 when Instagram came out?
Some
No,
shit.
younger.
I feel like
younger.
I remember it all.
Way
man.
younger.
Yeah, I think I do remember
Instagram came
too.
out like 2005.
I remember like just these apps.
We were Vine. You're thinking about
Yeah, but
Vine.
I remember that
I thought
too.
Instagram was like just coming up as we were in like grade 6 or
we probably
7.
were.
No, that
You
was
probably
Vine
were.
that you're thinking of. Instagram was already established, but it wasn't as big.
Oh, I understand.
But Vine is what you're thinking of. We were the Vine kids.
Yeah.
I remember all that,
As
and
soon as grade 6, grade 7 came along, that's when Vine was biggest.
Yeah, and it just makes me
But
realize
continue.
like a lot of people. It makes you realize like everybody was addicted, man. Like holy, this makes you think. It's like, damn, that's crazy.
That goes to show how powerful technology
It's
can
so
be over a
powerful.
society.
It's
Sure.
so everybody's in a group huddle, not even talking to each other on their
Yeah.
phones.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I know that's like, group friends are hanging out at a homie's house or in the car at McDonald's or something. They're all on their phones.
And yeah, it's like, what are you guys doing?
Taking videos, looking at,
That's
yo,
what
you
I
see this?
mean. Yeah,
I was a victim of it.
Me too.
I send you guys 8,000 things a day. Look at this. Look at this. You see him? You see
Yeah,
her?
we're just
Yeah,
all,
this guy
we're
used
just
to
on
send me pictures of his fucking brain. You know what I'm talking about? Anyways, let's move on.
But yeah, I don't know. I
that was
just
a
think-
long time ago. That's an effect that might have social media might be the goddamn root of it.
yeah.
But that's,
No,
that
I
is-
know who the
bad.
culprit
We'll
of
have-
that was.
What's it called?
We know exactly who started that.
We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. But
But
continue
yeah.
with your phone addiction.
But that's what I really think. Honestly, it's just like it sucks. It sucks at the same time because we don't really have much time to actually use. You know what I mean? We're just wasting it on our phones and stuff.
No, for sure.
I feel like phones were meant to connect people more, and in a way they do, but also in another way they cause more division than they connect.
Yeah.
The true purpose of a phone is to be able to talk to somebody anywhere in the world.
Like family members?
Yeah, like anybody, regardless of whether it be for family, whether it be for business, whether it be
I
for
remember
just.
that. I used to have to go to 7-Eleven, grab the good call from my parents.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Call people back home.
But like once we got technology involved into that process, it became less around the fact we're trying to connect each other and more around profit.
Yeah, it was definitely a hard switch.
Mm-hmm.
I was just about to say something that you touched on when it comes to like the kids and stuff. My mom works at a high school and she was saying that during the breaks or on lunch and all that kind of stuff, all she sees is everybody in the hallway like this, just looking down at their phone.
Yeah, everyone's just on their phone. It's
Yeah,
like
she
they're
says-
brainwashed.
100%. She says she sees people run into doors, run into like the middle columns between doors, run into each other, lockers, all that kind of stuff because people aren't present. They're just focused on a future or a past situation that's on their phone on a different device.
I remember that too. I used to be walking in the hallways as soon as I hear the freaking break, change my song, go on my phone, just like immediately go on my phone, walk to the next class with my phone in my hand. I'm like, oh my god.
I used to be on my phone more than I was actually paying attention in
That's
school.
what I'm
Even in
saying.
class, during class, I'd be just on my phone, like not wanting to be there. So I'm not there mentally. I'm in my phone mentally.
Yeah.
Definitely.
100%.
It's just bad.
It's almost like a metaverse situation.
Yeah.
Literally.
We were all a part of that at the beginning.
Yep.
And you know what's crazy? Like you were saying at first, how it was used to connect people, which is really cool. And it was at first. It was doing actually a very good job of that too. Like the whole like national scale that it was able to reach, like Facebook, all this kind of stuff.
And
Like,
even, but like, we should talk about Facebook after, but I'm talking like even before social media.
oh, okay,
Like
okay,
before
okay.
all of those things became
Just
real.
the internet in general.
Just the internet. Yeah, before the internet, when we just had cell phones to connect us, I feel like it worked very well.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand.
You know what I'm saying? I'm talking like the 1990s
I'm
when
kinda
you had
glad-
to used to phone your buddy's house to go
Yeah.
hang out
I
with him. You
understand,
know
I
what I'm
understand.
saying?
I understand.
Yeah.
It was a much simpler time.
I kind of liked when we were like elementary or like a little bit junior high when we actually experienced our childhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mhm.
like we didn't. I didn't phone this guy to go come over to his
I
house.
just
I
went to his
showed
house,
up. I showed
yeah.
up. He's there or he's not.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
One or the other. Coin flip.
I remember
Yep,
that.
we just freaking missed
Yeah.
it, man.
Yep.
Like the tail end of our childhood.
Yeah.
Like
and then it
13,
started
14,
going.
15 is when everything started to really get like social media likes, follow
Yeah.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Like from my personal like remember.
And it's literally just rotated. Like just boom, flip.
And now it's like that's all anybody's
Everything,
obsessed
yeah.
about.
So let's kind of get into that, like the evolution of like as soon as phones became more like technologically advanced and you were able to have all of these apps on it. I feel like that's where social media first started because of the ability with the internet as well as phones that have apps on them. Like before, we never even knew what an app was.
Yeah.
If you ask what an old person what an app is, they won't know.
Yeah, they're like, what the heck?
What do you mean an app? There's something on your phone. It's called an app. What?
Yeah.
I just know the call. I know to type in numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that once we started doing that, I feel like people started becoming more addicted to their phone.
No, I can understand that. I thinking about like the whole app stages and when that was all becoming a popular thing, like everybody was developing an app. It's just it's so crazy to think about that. But sorry,
It's more so Apple and Samsung.
Well, apps are created by like third parties as well.
yeah, a lot of
Individual people can create
which
apps.
I didn't know too much.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of apps that are like owned by just regular people
Mm-hmm.
who are just created by it,
Yep.
and they're not even too big or too popular, or there's not too much of
But
a
they
get
make,
the
income
bag.
they
behind
make
it.
money off of them.
100%. But with social media and the whole algorithm and all that kind of stuff, it's crazy how they did that. Because once they started doing studies on how it was so addictive and what was addictive, and they literally doubled down on that to try and gain the youth and gain. Same with the older people as well. I have a couple facts on my phone that when it comes to the phone addiction aspect of that whole topic or whatever, I looked up this fact and I wanted to know how much the average person checked their phone in a day. Like just looked at it, opened it up, or even just to check the time or something like that. And it said that most people check their phones 58 times a day, and 30 of it is at work or whatever. But 58 times a day, isn't that crazy?
How much you guys
So
think you check your phone?
Probably.
More than that. Well, when I had social media on it, yeah, more.
Me
Now
when
that
I had
I've
social
taken,
media a
now
lot.
that I've gotten rid of social media and basically like all the apps, I probably check it like once an hour. Like I just look at it once an hour just because I feel like I need to be on it, but I know I don't.
No, I know what
do
you
you
mean.
say?
I'll tell you, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm probably pretty close to that. I'm probably around 40 or 50 times a day.
Like,
I was gonna say, like on a comfy scale, I'd say 2 times an hour for myself. Every half hour. So that's like 48 times a day, which is right.
but then when you
around
look
there.
at it, you're on it for a bit.
No, not necessarily. Lots of my looking at my phone is just me opening it up and then realizing I shouldn't be on it.
Yeah.
That's
Same.
a lot of my checks. Like probably more than half of them.
I'd say the majority of the checks that I have are usually just for like the time or if I need to text somebody. Like other than that, there's not really much else I do on my phone anymore.
No, I understand that, but that's crazy. So, what do you guys think? 58 times a day. Let us know what you guys do.
How many times do you guys check your phone?
That's a
Yeah.
crazy little fact right there.
It is a crazy little fact.
And I wanted to know how many hours a day on average people spent on their phone, and it broke it down into age groups here. So I'll break it down here. So people spend an average of 3 hours and 15 minutes on their phones, and that's like around the world. But Americans spend around 5.5 hours on their phones, and the younger people spend about 6 hours on their phones. So
I
that's
could
like
see that.
millennials and like school students and all that kind of
I
stuff.
could see that.
But if we're talking about the whole thing, right? So you sleep for 8 hours and you're at school for 8 hours or 7, 8 hours. So if you're on your phone for 6,
But if you're on, you could be on your phone at school too. So like
it's true.
part
but
of that 8 hours could be on your phone that you're at school.
still,
or
even if that free 8 hours, you're on your phone for 3 of that, that's only 5 hours left over.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Isn't that wild?
You're not wrong, man.
It's crazy.
I remember
How much time being wasted.
I remember I used to put like 12 hours a day on my phone.
Yeah, I probably have some
When-
nasty numbers back
When
in
I
the
first
day.
got this phone, I got it because I was a gamer on the phone.
Mhm.
So I used to game on my phone, and I used to check my like weekly updates, and it's like you have spent an average of 9.5 hours a day on your phone. I'm like, oh, interesting.
That's insane, hey?
A lot of that was during school, though. Like you said, like that first 8 hours of school. A lot of that was during that
I understand.
8 hours. Like a good half of it.
No, I understand what you're saying. And that's I feel like that's the most case for lots of kids and stuff, even myself too. Lots of it was at school. But and then to go further into what I wanted to find out, I searched up just screen time in general. So like any type of screen, whether it be a video game, a TV, whatever the case. And it says that 8 to 10-year-olds spend 6 hours, 11 to 14-year-olds spend 9 hours, and 15 to 18-year-olds spend 8 hours
Of screen time?
of screen time.
I'd spend more than that.
Isn't that wild? But listen, this is just the average as well. Just the average. If a child spends more than 5 hours of screen time per day, they have their chance of being obese is like 75% more.
Yep.
Isn't that a wild fact too?
Because they're not moving.
So that's just a couple facts I wanted to find out when it comes to how, like, it really goes to show how addictive it is and how subconscious some of these hours are being spent.
How
So
many
it's just
hours?
wild.
How many hours do you think you guys spend on screen time, like watching a TV or a computer
Right now,
or your
my
phone?
probably screen time is probably like 3 hours.
Shut up.
Swear.
Playing video games is the same.
Like on my, if I'm on my PC,
No,
I'm
if
on there
you're-
all day.
If you're looking at a screen, any type of screen, doesn't matter what it is. If it's an electronic
If it's
screen,
on my PC,
You
I'm
mo-
on
you
there
guys are
like
probably
8
very
hours.
high.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
I'm-
like average like freaking 8 to like 12 hours.
oh, bro, more. I'm like, at least I would say my computer's on 16 hours a day. If I'm at home and I have nothing planned that day, it's on basically the whole day.
But I at least average like 8. I do 8 hours like basically every day.
Yeah, I play video games for only like 6 of that, but it's on. Regardless of whether I'm watching it or not, it's on. It's something's playing in the
Probably
background.
not good, but you know,
Yeah.
trying to build
For me,
something.
My screen report on my phone at the end of the week says on average I spend anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. It's normally not over 3 and it's normally not under 2. So let's say 3 hours for that, and then normally I'll watch like a little bit of YouTube videos on the TV, and then at the
Mhm.
end of the night, me and Brianna will wind down. So I'll say add another 2 hours on that, so at least 5 for me.
It's not bad.
It's not horrible. I'm not gonna lie. That's not a bad.
That's pretty
number.
healthy.
It is. I would just like to get the phone time down, man, because like you were saying, I do a lot of wasteful checks, man, and just to be on it, because it's a damn habit. Because the phone has me, man. It's got me. I'm
It's an
telling you,
addiction.
it's got me. It just says it's over there, and I'm supposed to be doing something. It says,
It's
yo,
been had us.
check me out, check me out,
It
baby.
has a mouth on it.
It does. It says, you know you wanna. 30, 45 minutes ain't nothing to it.
You know you wanna.
Ain't nothing to it but to do it. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Oh, that is.
All you gotta do is just look at that motherfucker. Opens up, face recognition, boom, action, locked
Yeah,
in,
that's-
metaverse.
That's crazy. Face recognition changed the game.
That too.
Yeah,
Bro,
you
they
don't even-
doubled down.
You don't even have to type in no passcode. The second you lift that thing up, it turns on for you. You don't have to touch the on button. It turns on for
Look
you.
how they did that.
Recognizes your face and says, boop, okay, you're logged in now.
It's crazy. I got my phone right here. I don't gotta touch it. As soon as I go like this,
Yep.
screen unlocked for me, baby. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What is with that?
They made it so easy.
Let's talk about that. That's what I was kind of referencing when I said the double down part. Like
yeah.
they found out what's causing them maybe a little bit of friction, like you were saying with the passcode. I know it's only a couple
Seconds.
couple seconds and just a small little blockage to the social media world or whatever the case, but it was there.
Mm-hmm.
Even the
So they
finger
took it out.
scan.
That too.
Yep.
That was the start of all that.
Yeah.
It was the start of all that.
I
Put your
remember
finger
that.
on there, boy. You wake up. Put your finger on
Literally.
there.
Log
How did I
in.
almost forget about the finger
Yeah,
scan?
you wake up.
Been a while. It's been a couple years since we've had a
Yeah.
finger scan phone.
That's
That's
wild.
what I'm saying. You wake up, your phone's hands right there, bro.
Yep.
You put your
Right
finger
there.
on
And
there.
that's what brings me into back as soon as technology got in the way, it became less about connecting people and more about money.
Mm.
People stop caring about they don't care if you're connected to one another. They care about the money they can make off of that connection. So they want you to be connected. They don't want you to have no connections because that means they don't make any money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where greed came into the mix.
100%. That flip, and it switched to like the flip like that, man.
And let's talk. We were gonna talk about social media, but I think we should end off with social media. Let's talk about why we feel the need to check our phone. You know what I'm saying? Like we've been programmed from such a young age.
Mhm.
You know how like you said that a lot of kids that are between what are the ages like 8 and 10? You said
Yeah, 8 and 10.
spend 6 hours of screen time.
Uh-huh.
How many hours of screen time did you spend when you were a kid? When
Oh,
you were between
man.
8 and 11?
Way less.
Way less.
Like if you had to put a number on it,
damn.
and let's say like a daily.
When I was 8.
I didn't have a phone either, but when we're talking screen time, we're talking about watching TV or
Mhm.
maybe playing some form of video game. Just like watching a screen in general.
Man.
We had a
Oh,
TV.
that's hard.
And we used to watch like Family Show, YTV, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely had a TV. Watch
So like,
shows.
how many hours do you think you'd spend in front of that TV then?
I don't really
Maybe
remember,
like
man.
4 hours a day maximum.
See, for me, way less.
Like that's like max.
When I was 8 to 11, I think I spent like 30 minutes of screen time. My screen time, majority of the time, was movies.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
watch-
that's what I was gonna say.
I'd watch a movie before I go to school. And that's
Mhm.
the 2 hours of screen time. But I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
yeah.
I wouldn't watch any screen time when I get home off school.
Yeah, at the end of the night before bed, I had shows that I knew what time they'd come on. From like 8:30 to 10, I had a group of shows that
Mhm.
I loved watching.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like you said, I was outside all the time.
Mm-hmm.
After school, I didn't go home and go on the
Go on
TV or
TV.
nothing.
But
that was
like,
my first reaction.
and as soon as all this technology started coming into effect and started rolling out, and more kids started getting it, it kind of became like I hate to say it for lack of a better word, but it was like grooming the younger generation into accepting this as being their life.
Like social media?
Yeah, so well, not even just social media, but this technology and the way that it's changing the way that they do their day. Like nowadays, most kids don't know what it's like to go outside and play out there by themselves.
It's crazy.
It is.
Most kids don't have an imagination anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have imaginary friends. They're not sitting there in the corner talking to themselves like I was, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I understand.
I feel like in a way that like the way that we're bringing up our kids and the younger generations, they keep getting more and more and more reliant on this technology.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's going to backfire.
I think so too. So real quickly, do you want to talk about the kids stuff right now and end off with social media?
Yeah.
Let's do that then. Let's do that. So like you were saying, all of this having kids depending on electronics and screen time in order to entertain them or teach them or just to keep them busy for a little while. I feel like I agree with you. I think that's really going to backfire in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you guys think that's a thing? You think it's because of parenting?
I think
Parents are lazy or
Like, maybe just like ignore them basically. Give their kids something to focus on. You know,
it's kind of like easy, hey?
Yeah, kind of easy.
it is the cop-out way.
Yeah.
I
And
think
you said it multiple different times. The brain
Mhm.
is like programmed to take the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
like kind of the automatic option now.
Yeah.
Back then, sorry to interrupt you before you're gonna say your point. Remember it so we don't get a
Mhm.
blank. But back then, parents were get the hell out of here.
Mhm.
Go outside.
Yeah.
That
Go have
was
some
it.
fun.
Yeah.
Go play. Go experience life.
Now
And
it's here's your iPad.
Yeah. For better and for worse, the more we get away from that type of style of living, the harder kids are going to be at problem solving.
Like you mean the outside world?
Yeah, the outside
Yeah.
world. Because like you had to develop a lot of skills if you're going to be outside every day, especially at a younger age. You gotta
Mhm.
in a sense learn how to protect yourself, learn how to make decisions.
No,
You
You
gotta
know what's crazy though?
You gotta make friends. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's crazy is like, for me when I was like childhood, my parents would love when I go outside, but then when I'm outside so much, they're like, yo, why don't you stay inside a little bit? You know what I mean? So they would switch it up, but then they would not even ask me what time to come home. They always used to trust me. Like I can go out whenever I want, which I loved.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to like my sister, not allowed to go outside. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly,
Barely went outside. Only she's going outside it's with my mom or with
Yeah.
us, with my dad.
that has a lot to do with the
It's
way
just
that
crazy.
like how bad our society is. Like I'll say this:
They were just so protective
young
over her.
females need to be protected. They need to, because in this society, it's not
I don't blame them for it.
it's not
Yeah.
safe for a
Yeah.
young female to be outside later at like understandable to a point, like to like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, like
the-
she would be allowed.
But after that, it's like you shouldn't. It's not really safe for you out there. You're
Yeah.
more of a target, as opposed to like me, for instance. I used to be outside at 12 at night.
Me too.
I used to go to Max at 12 at night. Be like,
Me
hey, mom,
too.
I'm leaving. No questions asked.
No questions asked.
I used to just leave the
Don't get me
house.
wrong, they wouldn't say no every single time. Like she had friends, she would obviously hang out,
Mhm.
but like
But that's when she's with somebody, right?
yeah, with
There's
somebody,
more than
it's
one
not-
person.
And like you said, it's like a time. It's like a time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you have to be
Sure.
home this time.
They were
Mhm.
They
definitely
were
more
strict
cautious.
on that.
right?
Yeah.
That's a good reason, but I agree with you guys. I feel like it sounds bad to say, but if I have a son and I have a daughter, I'm just going to be more protective over the daughter just
Me
because,
too.
like you said, society, there's creeps. It's
So
just
Mhm.
so
You
much
know,
stuff.
It's just not.
Yeah.
It's just not
like
as
a young
safe.
female walking on the sidewalk late at night definitely looks more vulnerable than a young team, like a rider, my brother.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A 6'1", 150, 160-pound male
What are
versus
you gonna do with that?
no matter what size the female is. Some people are just their
Yeah,
motives are
they just
different.
want
Yeah.
It
They
sounds
want
very
it.
bad.
You paint a target on your back. It's not good as society to have that, but it is. It's true.
And it's kind of unfair for the girls too because they're growing up the whole time like, why don't I have that freedom? Why
Yeah, they
can't
want
I
the
do
same
that?
Thing, kinda.
Because I
Unless you're just
understand.
a badass. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
Unless she knows how to protect
Yeah.
herself.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
no matter what, it's essential for my kids. It wasn't necessarily essential for me when I was growing up, but
It was,
kind
though.
of was.
Yeah, your dad definitely forced it on you
Yeah,
young.
he kind of
Yeah.
forced
He
it on
made
me.
you be able to protect yourself.
100%, and I'm doing the exact same
And he
thing.
beat you up a little bit too to teach you how to handle pain.
I'm gonna
100%.
definitely do the same thing too.
Oh
You're
yeah,
going in something.
100%, man. Whether if you like wrestling, that's okay, or we're doing
Yeah.
boxing, whatever. But you're doing something.
Yeah.
A couple of target mitts here and there. You don't have to be professional, but just a couple of sessions here and there is
And that just
essential.
that's like just go to show the difference. Like back then, let's say 15 years ago, that's when your dad kind of started teaching
Yeah.
you boxing.
Mhm.
Back then, it's like you had to do
Even sorry to interrupt you. Even younger, man.
yeah.
That's isn't that crazy to think? That's
Mhm.
a side topic. But we're at an age now that we can say like 18, 19 years ago. It's like I don't even feel like I've been here for that long.
Yeah. COVID really did that.
Damn.
Anyways,
go ahead.
back in what I was saying, 15 years ago, you had to spend time with your child.
Yeah.
You had to do activities with them. You had to kind of make that bond and the communications and the relationship. You had to be there for that. But nowadays, as our society, more generations go along, they kind of started to phase that out. It's weird, but they started relying on technology to raise their kid
100%.
other than themselves, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, that's the cop-out, and it's very unhealthy.
And it's just like it started with, I hate to say it, but it did start with our generation. The 2000s, that's the generation that it started with, when parents started to realize, hey, I get my kid a phone. What?
They leave me
Not-
alone?
I'm not going to hear him.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to have to talk to him. I
Not
can
even
just go
kinda-
relax.
Yeah, I'm even kind of thankful my parents weren't like rich out of their ass. You know what I'm saying?
Because they could have.
They could have.
That's a big thing too. Money definitely does change it, but nowadays money's starting to be less of a factor
That's what I
because
mean.
technology's starting to get cheaper and cheaper,
It's available for everybody.
more available for
Yeah.
everybody.
Definitely.
So yeah,
It's crazy how it's affecting kids and stuff. How do we, before we move on to the next topic, how do we think that that's going to affect kids going on in the future? You were talking about problem solving, maybe social interactions, maybe intimacy. Who knows? Like all these
Relationship
things.
building in general, even whether it be with your parents, your friends, or a relationship, depending on how old you are. Obviously, everybody has relationships at different ages, but
For sure.
just the whole human interaction is becoming less and less and less, and we're starting to interact through aliases, through things that aren't us.
No, I know what you're saying.
imagine we were in like a weird world where if you were on your phone, you'd get like a like you get fucking charged or some shit.
Like a
So-
charge, like
Yeah, like it would be like a fucking.
But at that
Can't
point,
do
like a
that.
legal type thing.
Yeah,
at that
legal.
point,
It's like that at some
phones in
places.
general would be illegal
That's
at
what I'm
that
saying. Like
point.
you have to sneak it type.
At some places, I know it's not that extreme, but in certain hours, you can't be doing that. Or certain areas, the internet is banned or stuff like
I
that.
think we should try that, man.
That'd be kind of cool, but it'd be
Yeah.
really hard to force, and there'd be a
Yeah.
lot of people who would
can't
lose out on
force
money.
it. You can't force it in a democracy.
Yeah.
What's it called? Who's them boys, man? Tell like Bill Gates, Mark Zuck, all them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tell Elon that.
Yeah, he's gonna get pissed.
No,
They're
not
gonna be,
even just
"Hold
that.
on."
You can't force anything like that in a democracy because you have the freedom of choice and you have the freedom of speech.
Yeah, that's true too.
So you can't take away that violates both.
And that is
we've
a
been
sweet.
violated. What do you mean?
Hmm?
We've been violated.
What?
With this COVID shit.
No,
No, I
that's different.
see. That is. That's
and look
weird
how,
now.
but look how much
Hold
it costs.
on.
Though.
We're not gonna talk about that because YouTube's gonna get us out of here, man. No COVID talk on this podcast. YouTube's gonna get us up out of here.
19.
Exactly.
Illuminati.
Different topic. No COVID, but the kids and I feel like I agree with what you guys were saying when you were talking about. We said this last podcast too, like the deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we have a deficiency in, we're filling the void with something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the reactions in the brain and the interactions that are happening online, or they're getting really, really realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like extremely realistic,
Mhm.
dangerously realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, like we said before, they're doubling down on addiction, and they know that the infinite scroll and shorts and all 10-second and 7-second, 3-second videos are at an all-time high because somebody can watch that over and over and over and then scroll to the next one over. It's just such a vicious cycle, man.
Mm-hmm.
And just to like add a cherry on top of that, that's why this whole metaverse thing is becoming popular, because we're starting to phase out human interaction.
Yeah.
So like if you were to tell somebody 10 years ago that you're going to be able to go into a virtual reality and not only make money and spend money, but like live there instead of going outside of your house, you can go in the metaverse and go outside in the metaverse. If you were to tell somebody 10 years ago that, they would say, nah, what? Why would we want that?
They would think that you're
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
man.
who would want to do that? That's what they would say. But after so much time and so much, like, I guess, making it socially acceptable to just be on technology more.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys
It's-
remember MSN?
I don't. Oh yeah, I do. That's like the very OG messenger.
OG
I
messenger.
remember that.
I
I
was
didn't
on
have
there.
it.
I used to look for when people online. I'm messaging on there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Man. I low key miss it. Not gonna lie, it was so OG.
And soon enough, man,
Wow.
every kid will be in that metaverse. Every single kid, because it'll be so
Oh.
easy just to, as soon as a kid gets home, put it on his face.
And he's gone.
And not
in
even
the
just
world.
that. I feel like, and this might sound kind of futuristic, but I think that school will be held in the metaverse. I don't think school is gonna have buildings anymore. There's no need. Like we're seeing with
Like
people
at home.
we're seeing with people at work how they transition from work to home so
Wow.
easily. Why would we not do that with schools?
No, I could kind of see
That would
it. And
solve
they did do
so
it.
many problems.
They did do it too for a long time with the whole COVID thing. There was
Mhm.
online classes for a very long time.
There still is.
But a lot of people did not do good because
A
they
lot of people
can't like.
did.
But imagine now you're actually there though. Like
Mhm.
you're sitting in a schoolroom, but in the metaverse.
Isn't
know what
that
I'm
a
saying?
crazy concept, man?
Yeah.
It's not gonna really like. What are you gonna gain out of it?
You're gonna be there personally.
It'd basically be like being there physically.
It would. It would be all the same characteristics. You'd talk to your homie and dab him up. He'd be right here. You'd be sitting in your room.
I know what the metaverse is, but like,
Damn.
are you still gonna like when you take it off? Are you gonna have your diploma? Are you gonna have your degree?
Yeah.
See, that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Because you'll still learn all the same information. You're seeing all the
But
information.
will it? Like, if you go to school for something in the metaverse, are you only going to be able to work?
In the
That's what I mean.
metaverse?
You're only going to be able to work like that in the metaverse, but then when you come out, you can only get a minimum wage job. But no, when
Yeah.
you're in the metaverse, you're a welder.
Yeah,
or
but in the
something.
they're
Yeah.
making the metaverse available. You can make money in the metaverse.
Bro, you're
That's
not.
what I
They're,
mean.
they're paying people to work in the metaverse.
That's what I mean. Like, people are gonna get locked in there.
Yeah. They're going to
They're
be
gonna
working
do
in the
that.
metaverse every day.
Okay, so what happens if something happens outside the metaverse? You get sick, you get stabbed. Are you gonna just put the thing back on? You're in there.
I wonder how that would work.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, if you were physically, maybe even if you're handicapped or something
Yeah.
like that, could you put the
Oh, yeah.
metaverse on and just be able to
Yep.
walk?
Yep, you could.
Wow.
What? No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you'll feel like you're
Goodbye
walking.
to everybody's regular life.
And you'll feel like you're walking to a certain extent because it'll trick your brain. Obviously, your body might
Yeah.
not be moving, but your brain will be tricked into thinking you're walking.
That's some dopamines, like we
Yep.
keep saying.
Mhm.
We'll talk about this again once we get into the social media. But like we said, with the interactions and the dopamines that are getting released, they're tricking it. So the same feeling is getting released in our brain from different actions.
And now that kind of brings me to like what you were saying. Do you think, or what Bashar was saying, you think they're actually going to get that diploma? And that's why I think that's where we that's the consequence. That's where we start to go downhill. Because as soon as anything happens to that technology, nobody knows what to do. We don't know how to survive at that point. Like humans are starting to shy away from the natural things that we do to help a society thrive, like farming, like welding, like keeping infrastructure good. All of
The
that's gonna
sociability too. Like,
all that's gonna start to crumble if we start living in a metaverse
yeah.
where that's not needed to be upkept. Like, yeah, we need to eat, but everything else doesn't really need to be there. At that point, you don't need roads. Who's gonna be on the roads?
I want to homeschool my children just because of that fact,
Mhm.
like that factor of it.
And if anything breaks down, a lot of people, especially the younger generations, they're not going to have the life skills to be able to survive. You're going to see, say a world war happens.
Mhm.
What are they going to do?
I understand what you're saying. I completely
know?
understand.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to raise my kids on a farm in a small town, not going to school, being homeschooled, all that kind of stuff, so they learn those skills. And I'm gonna try my best to teach them to be open and stuff like that, so that when they are introduced to the way more open world and stuff like that, or the city, for lack of a better term, they're gonna be able to still keep their roots and just be open to everybody else's opinions and ideas and stuff, which is
Mhm.
way easier said than done.
Yeah.
But I just wanna, I don't know. Me and
definitely
Brianna were
possible.
talking about that. I don't know if I want to raise a kid in this busy city. And we
Yeah.
were driving home from the Walmart and stuff, and we seen a group of like 12 or 13-year-old kids just being a bunch of hooligans. They looked like they were barely 12 or 13. They were smoking cigarettes and booting a bunch of stuff and just being hooligans. And I'm like, man, I know that your kid is not necessarily just gonna be that if you raise him in an environment like this, but because we weren't.
Well,
just like-
to a certain extent, we were hood rats.
We were, but just not like that. You know what I'm
We
saying?
weren't super on the extreme, but I would consider us hood rats.
Definitely.
We did a lot of dumb shit.
And
It's
I kind of want my kid to like stay away.
Yeah, on the flip side of that, then you're not developing those social interactions.
You
whether-
still can though.
You're right. If you put them in sports and you put them
That's
in
what I was
camps
gonna
and you
say.
put them in, but you got to keep up with
You got to
that.
keep up with that. You got to put a conscious effort.
They got to be in camps every summer. They got to be
Uh,
in some type of program where
100%.
they're seeing other kids, they're talking to other kids, they're
100%.
discussing things
it's
that
so
kids
important.
discuss.
It's so
I used to
important
look
create
forward to those.
relationships.
I wanted to do those
Camps?
and stuff.
Oh, I used to. My parents were actually super good with that because the government paid for it. I used to go to like 12 camps every summer.
I didn't really go to that many.
I honestly
I
did.
didn't go to that many, but I just liked the fact that they had.
Yeah,
them.
I did everything from like football, like sport camps to like camera camps, animation camps. I did like
Those are
clay
cool.
animation, science camps. I did everything. And I would definitely say that camps is a good way if you're going to homeschool your child. Camps are a good way to give him the social ability, like the social skills.
100%. It's like a big old field trip.
Yeah, basically every single day it's a big old field trip.
Yep.
Gotta make friends. New
I
people
agree.
coming in and out.
That's the way to do that. And I think that's the route that I'm gonna take. Cause man, only time will tell. But as soon as I possibly can, I'm out of here, man. I'm out of the city. I'm out. I never grew up on the farm. I don't got no experience. Nothing like that. But I'm going in blindfolded just because I'm sick of this. I'm sick of the energy.
New.
For sure, I'm sick of the energy. I'm sick of the people around.
The clutter.
Oh man, everybody's got that mindset.
Everybody's on a rush.
I'd be in an open field, nice nature, you know what I'm saying?
God. Imagine waking up, you don't see any neighbors, just a bunch of trees, open field, maybe some birds chirping, maybe
some breeze.
Oh.
Have a nice cup of coffee on your little rocker while the sun comes up. We sound like retired people, but I'm ready. I'm already ready for that. I don't want the parties.
No.
I'd rather sip a coffee, watch the sunrise.
Give me like 3-4 acres, man.
Ooh, I don't even need
baby.
that. 1 acre.
Yeah, that's true.
1 acre's pretty big. If you think about how big an acre is, you can have a nice house, nice little piece of land that's not too much upkeep. It's not too much this, that. You can still have some animals on there too.
I was just about to say, I have a crazy something to tell you guys after that is very close to that. So I'm going to try my best to remember, but you guys try too.
Yep. Okay.
Because, dude, it could be, I know it sounds crazy, but with this next 5 or 10 years of our life, I think I kind of just want to say, fuck it. Is what I mean to get at.
But let's
just go somewhere.
Yeah, let's get into that after.
But that's kind of what I'm feeling.
So let's kind of wrap up this half
kids?
of the topic, the younger generation and their dependence on technology. Let's just wrap it up by saying, do we think if it's positive or do we think it's negative?
So kids and electronics, that's a tricky one because I think that there's a void that's being filled with electronics right now or screen time and stuff like that. And it's definitely being filled in the incorrect way. There's quality time, there's love, there's things that need to be taught with other little kids and human, all those kind of interactions and stuff. And I just feel like it's being filled with the wrong void right now. And like we were saying, I think in the future that could potentially cause problems for intimacy, relationships, workplace, problem solving, all that kind of stuff. But there's definitely a positive side to it. But in my opinion, I would like to keep my kid off of electronics. A lot easier said than done, but it's tough, man. I work
towards it.
It's very tough. But what do you guys think?
See, for me, I would say that I definitely regard technology, well, not all technology, but a lot of the technology that we've seen in the last 10 to 15 years as having a negative impact on society. I feel like in the long run, right now, we're having a fun, we're enjoying it. It's still pretty new. Well, new to the younger generations, and even some of the stuff coming out's new to us. But in the long run, like you said, it's going to cause a lot of deficiencies. And I think we're already seeing a lot of those deficiencies in relationships nowadays.
Yeah.
And that's with that's with our generation. That's not even with the generation that grew up dependent on it. That's just with the generation that grew up with the possibility of it. So obviously time will tell. About 10, 15 years, we'll see what the true negative impacts of this are on society.
It's going to be interesting.
And I don't think it's going to be good.
No, it's going to be
How about you, Bashar? What do you think?
interesting.
I would say, like, for technology-wise, like, technology-wise, I would say it's good because, like, you can make a living off the internet. You can make money, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can actually do things with it if you're smart with it and you don't let it take control, you know what I mean? But if I would say, like, phone and, like, younger generation, I don't think it's that good because they're wasting too much time on it, you know? You don't, like, actually do something. Like, go outside. Don't waste too much time on that because then you don't really have much time. Like, your childhood will be gone so quick. So that's what I would say for the younger. So which I would say it's not good. But for technology-wise, I would say it's good a little bit, man. If you actually use it the right way and you're smart with it.
I understand.
That's easier said than done, right?
Using it, it's been proven. Like it's been done. You know what I'm saying?
Using it in the right way definitely can happen, but I don't think we're using it the right way right now. You know?
Only like a certain percentage of people are. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know how to do that yet. How to make money on it or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
There's examples of both sides.
So I don't know. Like I say it's good, but it's bad. I don't know. It's hard to choose.
It's good on the older generation who knows how to do it properly, but bad on the younger generation who's growing up with these bad habits.
That's what I
understand. It's they're making it really easy for us to go the easy way.
The easy way, which is that way.
Yeah.
Don't think about the smart way, making money, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Don't worry about that. You can build yourself a brand over there. So many things. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, but like we said, man, they're tricking us.
Tricking us,
It's
man.
tricking us, man.
That's OneThird's thought on technology and how it relates to the younger generations and stuff. You guys let us know what your opinion is. Do you think it's going to have a good impact on society going into the future? Or do you think all of this technology and the way that we're pushing it onto younger generations for, like Bashar said, it could be for good purposes like making money or pursuing a career in certain things. But also, they're wasting a lot of time. So do you think that's
teeter-totter?
Yeah, do you think that's going to be negative or positive? What's your guys' opinion?
Once again, my OneThird podcast is balance.
Literally.
Balance.
Baby.
It's wild, but let's talk about social media for a little while.
All right, let's get into it.
So, damn, I don't even know where to start.
Me either.
We can start with we can kind of start with bridging the gap between our last topic and this topic right here. I would say that social media is one of the main reasons that phones are so addictive. And we can start with that, and let's get into why we think that it is addictive.
Why it's addictive, and then like how it affects the younger generation and going up. No, I agree. Let's do it. So, what do we want to initially bring this up as?
Okay, so we could say
what?
Like, you can be on your phone, right? You want to be like, yo, I want to be in Japan or some shit. You just go search a couple stories, look at a couple pictures.
Done deal.
You feel like you're in there already. You know what I mean?
Done been there.
that's even worse with the metaverse.
That's what I was gonna say. Put that damn thing on. All you have to do is go there really quick. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's so scary.
Tron.
Man.
Scary,
We're in
bro.
Tron.
Dude, how scary is that?
Get the motorbikes. Straight up.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I deleted social media when I did, because I just envisioned a bunch of crazy things in the future, man.
You can just be there.
Ready Player One. If you've ever seen that movie, Ready Player One, it's coming.
Oh, damn, man.
Sometimes I think people who make movies just have like visions of the future. Like, just for somebody to come make that movie was made like 5 years ago.
You know
when
what?
VR technology was just starting.
Like, yo, you know what would be crazy, man?
If we had a
This happened,
full
then it's like 5
society
years
that lived
later.
inside here.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep. Let's get into the social media side of it though. Why do we think social media is so addictive? And is that addiction something that could be strung on a good side, or is that addiction just a negative impact on society?
I don't know. I think that social media is so addictive because it's like it's the ultimate highlight. Everybody can put their highlights on there, and it's everybody's when they look the best, when they're doing super cool things on their stories, and it's always a highlight. The best of them is always on social media. You're not going to post what you look like if you don't like how the picture goes. We've seen it 100 times. A female or a male will take 300 pictures and just post one. But even if we take that side completely out of it, I feel like our brains are kind of wired to automatically complain, compare, and criticize. So those are the 3 C's that I've mentioned them a couple of different times, and I try to lead my life not doing those. But I found it damn near impossible, because your brain is automatically wired to do that. You're automatically going to kind of compare with maybe the guy at the gym. Maybe it's not a bad comparison, which is why I added the word constructive to it. So if you add constructive, it's 4 C words, which is crazy. Keep it 55th Street. Yeah, you guys know that guy? Crip Mag, baby. Crip Mag, baby. Keep it 55th Street.
Alright.
But
gang. Anyways.
But it's 4 C's, and I think if you add constructive in front of all of those, constructive comparison, I want to be like that guy. What can I do to do that? I like his arms. I like his chest. What's the workouts he does? Comparison. Oh, that was comparison, my fault. Constructive criticism. We talked about that. You can do this better by doing that. And then constructive, what was the other one? Complaining. There's a different way to complain. And I had to learn that even in our relationship with Brianna. How to complain.
Like addressing issues, but respectfully addressing the issue so it can be resolved.
100%. So you can kind of call that constructive complaining.
It is.
In my mind, I tried to first avoid criticizing, complaining, and comparing. But like I was saying, it's literally impossible. Your brain does that automatically. So if you add constructive in front of all of those, I feel like it becomes easier. But with social media, to relate this all back to that, for myself, when I was scrolling and I seen all them fake boobs and fake bundas and all this stuff on the internet, and racks on racks and chains and a Lambo, and look at me, whoop-de-whoop, you can get all this stuff. I'm immediately comparing, immediately criticizing, immediately complaining that I don't like where I'm at. So I deleted that for a reason, and I've been in a better place since. But social media is crazy like that, and that's why I think it's so addictive, is because the 3 C's.
It makes you like not grateful.
Yeah.
Makes you not grateful
So
for
what's-
what you have.
What's your take on that? I just went on a long, big old rant.
What's your take, Bashar?
I don't even. That's a big one, man.
I guess
Social
just start with
media-
how you think it affects society. Like, well, what's your opinion on it? I
I
guess.
think social media affects society big time because it just makes you like so sucked in. Like Tyson said, you see all these things that you want. You want to do this, you want to do that, but like in reality, you know, you can't. You just gotta be grateful for what you have, really. And I think that I'm kind of grateful the way we were kind of raised, or I was raised, because like social media wasn't a big thing. I didn't really focus on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's like really destroying us, man, because like everybody's on it. It's like a whole
Cult following.
I was just about to say, that's the best word, honestly.
It's a cult.
That's honestly the best word.
And I just don't think it's good, man. I just want us to be grateful for what we have, really, like show some love to people, you know what I mean? The social media, stop being on it.
Show
I
like
like that,
real,
man.
true, personal love.
Yeah, like actually see who you are, you know what I mean?
Sure. Mhm.
The social media makes you someone who you aren't, you know what I mean? You're always on a fake persona, you know what I mean? Just be who you are.
And that
really.
kind of turns into what I said before. People are living through aliases.
That's what I mean.
They're not living through who they truly are. They're living through who they want to be or who they want to portray.
Exactly. Who they want to show as.
I feel like that backs up all the facts that we talked about a couple podcasts ago with being the average person only being present for 3 seconds at a time and always thinking about a past thought or a future thought, which is basically complaining, comparing and criticizing. Golly, my bad. But yeah,
it's really gonna get you anywhere. Like just doing a fake persona of people on social media. Like,
it can.
It can, but
for how long?
No, I know what you're saying.
That's funny that you say that, because you know that Netflix show Anna, Being Anna. Have you seen that one? It's about this. It's about this girl. I don't know where she's from. I think it was Russia or Germany, but that's where she came from. She moved. I think it was to New York, and she put on a fake persona, and she got in with all the rich people, and then she started scamming them. She started taking their money.
It's a TV show or a movie?
It's a TV show. It's on Netflix. But yeah, it's about her whole. The fact that she faked her whole life, and eventually it did catch up to her, but she had already scammed hundreds of people out of millions of dollars because she was portraying somebody that she wasn't and acting like she was, had more money than she did.
Yeah, there was actually this one guy from Israel. This is actually very recently. He got charged. I don't know how much he got charged, but he used to scam girls, like tell him he would do all these things or whatever, and they would pay him money. And so he would use that money to fly out other girls, he's just racking up all this money they're paying him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he would use that money, buy him dinners, this, that, spend time with them, and then fly out with their money. Keep flying them out, keep making money. It was actually crazy.
Hi, BB, send me 10,000.
Exactly.
Sends him 10,000.
Exactly.
Says another one. Hi, BB, come.
And he would just fly out to different locations.
And you gotta understand,
bro.
It's crazy. That's sorry to interrupt you, Jax. That's a TV show on Netflix, right?
I don't even know.
I think that one is too. I think you guys are not talking about the same thing, but both talking about TV shows on Netflix. It's ringing a bell because I read about it. But continue, Jackson. Sorry.
I was gonna say that's only possible because of social media.
Yeah.
Only possible.
So without social media, that would not be possible.
No. How are you gonna get a hold of them?
Even just to portray that style of life.
Yeah.
Like the portrayal of like showing pictures like that, showing videos like that, stories like that. Like you can fake a story, you can fake a video, you can fake a picture.
For sure.
You can't fake who you truly are.
That's what I mean.
It goes to show, like, again, that supports all the stuff that we've kind of been mentioning in this podcast, where it's a highlight. You can put on a highlight. I could too. I can make it look like I'm making all this type of dough. I can make it look like I'm balling.
Yeah.
I can make it look like I'm balling, man.
Yeah.
But no, it's crazy how that can happen. But to bring it all back to another point, I feel like this kind of all relates to not being present. Like in my mind, I kind of relate that to
not wanting to be present.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's like
too,
what I used to
actually.
say. Remember when
Damn.
a couple podcasts ago, somebody they gave you a decision between hard labor and meditating for 15 minutes. A lot of people chose the hard labor, regardless of how long it was, just because they didn't want to meditate for that 15 minutes. They didn't want to be in their own head for that long because they couldn't handle it.
Scary.
Yep.
So
It's
do you
very
think we'd be able to, like, obviously we would be able to live, but like, how would everything get run?
For what?
Well, like phones, social media, technology, like, how would
I don't
everything get
know.
across? You know what I'm saying?
And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about too, the positives that it brings.
Yeah, like, how would we do anything really?
What do you mean?
Just like even with like actors and like how would they get their message across to what they want to do? You know, it's just like little
understand.
shit like that, like rappers, actors, singers.
I
You know what I mean?
understand.
You know what I'm saying?
No, a big part of
How
marketing
to get
and
known
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
100%
That's-
passive incomes and
Yeah.
like each social media stream is basically a passive income.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll take away incomes there. It'll take away marketing. How are
Mhm.
we
Take away
gonna know?
so much their brands? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
How are we gonna know when Rick Ross or Meek Mill or somebody is releasing an album if they don't post it on their IG? If
on
they
the
don't do it,
IG.
if they don't do
Mhm.
an interview with the Breakfast Club.
That's what I mean. How they gonna get a hold of different people to?
I'll
market
say
with.
this:
Mm-hmm.
the better your product is, the less you need to advertise.
But this is
Damn,
not.
there was
but,
a
Tesla
quote I
does-
seen.
Tesla doesn't advertise. Tesla
but
doesn't
not
have ads.
everything's gonna be very big to where
But-
every single person knows.
but
It's maybe it's on their own community.
But Tesla doesn't advertise. They don't spend money on advertising. But they're still one of the best car companies.
It's not strictly just
regardless.
advertising though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, they're so good that they don't need to put their name out there. They don't need to be on social media. People see a Tesla on the road. That's the advertisement. They see, oh, that's a nice car. What car is that? Oh, it's a Tesla? Oh, nice. People
what you're
like
saying.
radios are a good way to market that aren't social media. Like radios are, they do make money off of it like that. But they do also
Those are media.
they are
That's a
media.
media outlet.
It is a media outlet, but it's not a social media outlet.
No, I know what you're saying.
It's like the news.
I understand. Yeah.
It's like
I understand.
TV. TV, I guess you could say TV is a social media in
I
a way,
understand.
but in a way it's also not. It's not like you have a say in what goes on the TV.
I understand.
But
And
you
that was
have
like back then in the day when homies were running up to the scene with their cameras.
Mhm.
Like that was the social media. But it was just
Mhm.
media back then.
Yeah.
So I understand. I definitely understand where you're coming
Mhm.
from.
I don't know. I just think there's like some kind of positives to it. Like not everything's bad about it. You know what I mean? It's just how
Yeah.
you use it.
So I was just about to say, other than the fact that it can create these voids that we're feeling the wrong way, and that kind of relates to what you guys were talking about with the fake personas. Like
Mhm.
maybe like I hate to relate it to this because it sounds bad, but like a WWE star or a Colby Covington who puts on a persona, who has paid chicks around him all the time. Or like maybe not, I don't know, but you know what I'm trying to say,
most
right?
likely paid
All that
actors.
kind of stuff. It's like
Just for
that's
that.
filling a void.
Mhm.
And is it? I wonder where that void comes from. Maybe not for them, but in the near future, I feel like there's going to be a lot more of that happening because of social media.
And I didn't really say my my thoughts on social
Yeah.
media yet, but I'll just put this out there. I feel like social media gives too much easy gratification. Like as soon as you get a like, the dopamine hits in your head. As soon as you get a comment, dopamine hits in your head.
I want more.
Back then, if you wanted that same rush, you needed to actually do something worth getting that. You know what I'm saying? Like say you wanted to talk to a female. It's a lot harder to talk to a female in person. It's also a lot more rewarding because if you do persuade that female and you do bring her over and you have a relationship, that dopamine hits, but it lasts longer. Social media, it's making the fact that we're getting more used to our own dopamine hits. And now we need a next hit. And now we're becoming addicted to that dopamine. As before the dopamine, it used to hit a lot less, but when it hit, it was more satisfying.
Yeah.
It actually meant more to us than just a couple flimsy likes on a picture that we might not even like ourselves.
You can say that's like the original,
Mhm.
true, actual dopamine hit
Yeah.
is back then.
Yeah.
That one-on-one interaction,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be a yo, I like your hat, yo, I like your
Mhm.
shirt,
Compliments.
hey, your hair looks beautiful today. You get a
way
lady's
better
number.
Than, way better
Being
than getting a
successful at
DM.
something, scoring a goal, impressing somebody, whether it be whatever it was a human interaction that was producing that dopamine.
Now it's like all under the Instagram picture. Yo,
Yep.
clean still.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yo,
Daddy.
get out of here.
I don't like DMing is just so it like you said, it's way better in person.
Mhm.
You can actually talk to her, go on a date. You know what I'm saying? Take her out,
Yeah.
buy her a drink.
It's just that fact of it's the fact of we're trying to trick our chemicals in our brain. We're trying to constantly trick them and have releases that are false positives.
Yeah.
Like we're as a society we're not keeping that in check. We're allowing it to
Definitely
just
not.
grow and grow and get worse and worse and
And the social media companies are pushing it.
uh-huh.
They're just enforcing it
It all has to do with money.
for sure. But let's real quickly before we end this off, because we
Mhm.
talked about all the negatives and like we
Mhm.
said, all the voids that are filled by social media, all the deficiencies of it.
Mm-hmm.
A big one with the Instagram models and the chains and the money, the cars, all that kind of stuff.
Personas.
Yeah, for sure. Very definitely unhealthy comparison. But what is the positives to it, man? Like, what do you guys think that some positives? Because there's a bunch. Like, we can't say that there's not a bunch, because there is. There might be more negatives, which I understand. And like we said, this goes time and time again. The negatives will stand out more than the positives. Like, the addictive side of social media is always going to overcome the opportunity that it has. You know what I'm saying? But let's speak about that opportunity.
So I guess Bashar,
I would say marketing.
Bashar laid it out pretty positively. That's the number one, putting your name out there. That's the number one biggest benefit to having social media, having the internet, and also we can bring it back to phones in general.
The more people you know, the more people you can
know more people.
Yeah, and you can branch out. You can meet bigger people than you. You know what I mean?
Back in the day, back in the day, you had to have connections. You had to talk to this guy for this long. I mean. Then he would introduce you to that guy for this long.
If it's now you need, he may hook you up.
That's what I'm saying. He'll introduce you to it was who you knew back then. But nowadays, it's easier to know people. If I can talk to him, I can also talk to him at the same time. I can talk to him at the same time. Talking to 4 different people. Yeah, it's a lot easier to grow when you're talking to 4 instead of just 1.
Even when I'm streaming, like I be playing with sometimes like semi-big streamers that know way bigger streamers, and I'm on the bottom talking to the one in the middle. And it's just so cool because all his community starts to get to know me, you know what I mean? And it just gets bigger and bigger. It's like, damn, this is actually working.
Almost like a domino, hey?
Yeah,
it's it's a lot easier to grow when you can get your name out there to more people.
No, 100%.
And then that just sets you up for success, man. You're freaking almost there. You know what I mean?
100%. Gary Vee says this all the time. He says, if you're on social media, if you have a brand, if you have a product that you're trying to sell or just get known or whatever, why aren't you DMing 300, 400 people a day? So that goes to be said, you can DM 300, 400, 500, even just 50 people a day all around the world.
Yeah.
Possibly network with people from different countries, 200, 300 people. But back then in the day, you had to go knock on everybody's door at the business. Hey, would you like my product?
Before the internet, would you like my product? Before the internet. Exactly. As soon as the internet came, you could use email. And email was like the first representation of that.
But you needed something to get that.
You needed their email. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't just search up their name. Like,
And they needed something to get a hold of that email. You know what I mean? They needed some kind of thing to get on there.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand where you guys are coming from. It wasn't as easy to put your stuff out there. But now it's crazy, man.
So easy.
We know how many YouTube channels, Instagram pages, TikTok pages, people that are just famous and influencers and celebrities.
And I guess that would bring us into like the second benefit is it does connect us in a way more. There is more availability to be connected.
Yeah.
As humans, whether it's not actual human interaction per se, you're still connected. You're still keeping up. You're still seeing, say you follow your family member on Facebook, you're still seeing them grow and change and develop certain different habits that you might notice through their pictures.
Not really, though.
Well, say you have a cousin who's 5 years old.
And you don't see a picture until he's freaking 12. How did you see any of that?
But if you follow his parents on Facebook, there's guaranteed going to be multiple pictures of him every single year. You're going to slowly see him grow up through pictures. And then next time you see him, you're not going to be like, oh, you've grown so big. You're going to already know he's grown because you're going to see pictures of him growing. You're going to see his style change through his pictures.
It would still be different, though.
It would definitely be different, but I understand where you're coming from for sure.
Let's go back 20 years. Say you don't have the internet. Say you're not seeing that. You're going to see him. Then 10 years later, you're going to see him as a full teenager. You're going to have no idea of what happened in between.
Yeah, you're only going to see him once a year when they make that 5-hour drive or whatever it may be.
But now you'll be able to at least see him somewhat.
No, I understand.
Stay connected.
It definitely opens up way more connection. It's not, like we were saying, it's not as personal, but you can still get that same feeling. Like we were saying, the dopamines get tricked. The feelings get tricked. So maybe it's not like seeing your grandson, but if you constantly see videos and pictures of him learning how to walk and chewing on Cheerios, you're going to be like, oh, I still feel a little bit personal with him. He's obviously not going to and all that stuff, but
he's not going to know.
Yeah, at least you kind of get that somewhat of a feeling. But I feel like social media is really cool for the networking aspect. Like we're saying, you can contact a bunch of different people and you can reach people who have a similar mindset easy. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, if we wanted to be entrepreneurs and start something like this, there would be a very small percentage of people who were interested in that. And we would have to
really scout and find.
Dig through. We had to go into a freaking needle in a haystack, man. And it's super hard to come out of that haystack sewing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's unfortunate, though, that, like, the biggest positive of social media is money, and the biggest thing running social media is money.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
It's the biggest
unfortunate
positive
part.
and negative, eh?
That's the unfortunate part. It's like, yeah, you can make a lot of money on social media, but them big people, they only get richer. You're feeding into the top people who own those companies.
Yeah, and I'd say it's really getting inflated too because everybody wants to do it.
Well, it's because there's 7 billion people on Earth.
That's what I mean. Everybody wants it.
There's 7 billion people. Obviously, if we get 1 billion people on the internet, that's saturated.
For sure. That's why we're going to have to grind.
It's already saturated.
It is saturated. That's why we're going to have to grind and keep this podcast as organic and as real as we possibly can, because everybody and their mom has something along the lines of this.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we got to be us.
And we got to
have people
stand
like
out
us.
because, like, that's the competitive side. It's like, what are we doing different than this other podcast or this other stream or this other, you know what I mean?
100%. Are they putting on a persona? Are they filling a void?
Yeah.
Is that person genuine?
That's what I mean.
Like, is
They
what
look
he's
at so
saying
much
the
things.
truth?
Uh-huh.
Like when he says his opinion on the podcast, is he just trying to please the people, or is he actually trying to say his opinion?
Yeah.
Like for me, I
crazy,
could say it's raw here. We raw.
I try and do my best to learn every week so I can bring a good conversation. Sometimes it's less than others. Sometimes I feel really confident in talking about a subject. Sometimes I don't, but that's all about.
That's the rawness, right? You're not always gonna be at that top 100%.
100%.
You know?
Man. And I had to realize that it's okay to fail. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to do all that.
And that's a negative of social media. You don't see that.
That's fucking true, man.
You don't see the people that are at 80% that day. You only see the 100% days. You never see the 75%
They're
days.
not going to put their sad things on the story,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying?
You know?
Excuse my language, but God fucking damn it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I never really realized that until now. I feel like I'm so thankful, man, that we grew up in the time that we did, because if it was 5 or 10 years later and I started out having a
You'd be
Instagram
hooked.
at age 6,
Yep.
the damage that it did in the years that I had it, was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If I grew up with that, bro, that might not be good, no going back.
Yeah.
Good luck telling if I.
It depends really how they raised you, though. Maybe you wouldn't have a phone.
That's true.
But everyone around you would.
That's
maybe,
true.
You know what I mean?
It's true. But if I was given that opportunity and I
To
had
where
a
you had a
phone and
phone,
social
you'd be
media at like
fucked.
very young,
And let's just
You'd
put
be
it out there.
done.
We just talked about this.
No.
Parents are starting to shove phones on their kids younger and younger.
Yeah.
Younger.
You're not gonna be an 8-year-old without a phone nowadays.
And we're not saying you're in the wrong. I hate to say that. You know what I'm saying? Because I hate to say.
Yeah, it's not wrong. It's
not
just
wrong, but it's like.
But they would agree with
if
us,
you
I
don't,
think.
I think so too.
if you don't like have set restrictions, if you don't regulate it, if you just let your child on the phone, who knows what they're gonna see? It's the internet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If it's not regulated, I hate to say, you're not being responsible if you're not regulating it and you have your kid who has a phone at a young age.
What feels better, when your kid is scoring a goal or playing outside with his friends, having fun? Does he have a bigger smile when he is doing that, or a bigger smile when he beats a level?
Probably both.
That's what I mean.
Probably has the same smile.
No, that's what I mean. And that's that trick of the dopamine. He's like, wait, outside is kind of hot. I kind of get tired. But this is fun.
I might bruise my knee, get a little scrape.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
want
I
to.
would scrape. I'd get a bunk on my head. I'm still outside. Next.
This guy has an A.
Hardcore.
This guy has an A embedded on his stomach.
Still outside.
Still outside after I go cry for a bit. I'm back in.
He's
Yeah.
still
This guy
outside,
cut
baby.
his skull on the ground on a wave board going down a hill.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
they're not smart decisions.
But
Hey, you learn from
it
them and you
marked
have
us.
fun.
Yeah, you
You
do.
can't tell me we weren't having fun all the way up until you smash your head on the pavement.
100%.
It was fun all the way up until that.
You know what I learned from that? Hey, son, don't do that stuff again, man. Don't do
Yep.
that again.
I'm on a bleacher with a no seat bike and no freaking brakes, nothing.
Oh my
Going
God.
over a jump.
Going over a bleacher. You know those blue bleachers?
Yeah.
Blue bleachers by Kirkness? You remember we used to burn?
Yep.
Yeah.
On like the third one.
You went down?
I went down. I'm trying to jump off of it with the bike.
That's why he has an A on his stomach.
That's where that came
Oh,
from?
yeah, the whole handlebar jabbed me. I don't know how it didn't
Oh
stab me
my
inside.
Because it's so thick.
God.
That's why. If it was sharp, it would have got you.
That's what I'm saying.
And you didn't have the grip on it.
no grip, so it's metal.
It was metal.
Mm-hmm.
The whole
Dude, that
bar.
could have really been bad.
That could have been bad.
You could have been
Imagine
impaled.
yeah,
Like
man.
literally a full handlebar in you.
And-
Got to go to the ER with it in you.
Oh.
At that point, you'd have to cut the top handlebar off, and you'd literally just
They'd
you'd
have
be
to
sitting
I'd
there.
have to just stay there till they came, bro.
Oh, dude, I'm just
No.
imagining how that
Yeah.
happened. You're going down.
I'm going down just
like this.
And listen,
No seat, nothing.
We talked about the negatives and positives of social media. Let's talk about the negatives of not having social media, okay?
Being a hood rat.
Being a hood rat. Being outside, making dumb decisions.
So much dumb shit.
Getting injured.
Doing a lot of stupid things because you're a kid. That's the only way kids learn. They do something. If it's bad, they don't do it again, hopefully. If it's good, they do it again.
At least they were given that opportunity to learn, though.
I was trying to impress. And
for that dopamine hit.
Like,
he was charging that dopamine
and after
hit.
it was bad, they're like, oh my god.
Are you okay? He's like, hey.
I wasn't crying. I'm not crying. That's what I'm saying.
Bashar got his dopamine hit either way. He's
I was
hurting.
just about to say.
He's hurting, but he got it.
He figured out that way works too. He said, hey, you don't always have to succeed.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes when you fail, they feel bad for you.
They still love me.
They still love me.
They're giving me all this love.
That is funny.
They still love me.
It is funny, man.
But no, it's a
Good days.
it's a healthy balance.
People will
man.
have different opinions on whether technology is something good or whether it's something bad.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you have to decide, and you have to live with your decision, right? Whatever you decide is whatever you decide. We're just giving you a little glimpse into what our opinions are on it
For sure.
and what we think's going to happen in the near future.
No, yeah, you make your bed so you can lay in it.
Yep, exactly.
My quality of life has improved drastically since I deleted social media. Don't get me wrong, I use technology each and every day for multiple hours a day. It's not, I don't avoid technology. I don't avoid screen time. I don't avoid any of that kind of stuff. But social media was having a really, really bad impact on my mindset in the 3 C's, comparing, complaining, and criticizing. It was really, really taking a toll on my mindset. So
It's abundant.
yeah, once I deleted that, I was actually able to get to the root of the problems, really find out what I wanted, what I loved, all that kind of stuff. I was able to understand myself a little bit more, which is a topic we'll talk about in the future, is understanding yourself. I was able to do that a lot more easy and more like consistently when I deleted that stuff. So
I agree.
I agree too. I
sure.
noticed the same thing. I've gone through separate phases of deleting it, reinstalling it, having it for a bit, then deleting it again. I definitely say not having it is when the happiness goes up.
crazy. I don't even know the last time I was on social media, if I'm honest. I don't think it's been a year actually, but pretty close. Pretty close. I watched the Kevin Gates interview, and he was saying that he didn't have any social media and how happy he was and all the kind of habits that he was able to develop after that. And he talked about the comparing and the whole highlight and how that's everybody's top moments of their life and stuff like that. And I was thinking of deleting it for quite some time, but I was always on the edge because I used it so damn often and it was holding on to me. I was ready to let go of it.
The strings weren't cut.
No, it had a hold and it was holding on strong, man. It may have only been like a little bit of strings, but them bad boys were strong. There's like a last tooth.
A spider web string.
Oh, it's crazy. It was holding on to me, but I finally did it.
Trying to rip it out, it's still there, man.
Yeah, it keeps
there.
coming, keeps coming. Keeps
That
coming.
bad boy's stretchy too.
It's endless.
Exactly.
It can look like it's gone.
It's about to snap, but it ain't.
Comes back up.
It's
He
just
says gonna
boom.
snap, but
It's
it
crazy.
ain't.
No, those are all perfect analogies for it because it has a hold on us. It had a hold on me, and it's just crazy. So once I seen that interview, I was like, you know what? Sending it off the deep end, man. Let's do it.
In
Try
saying
it
that,
out.
this is OneThird's opinion on social media. Let us know what your opinion is.
No,
Are you addicted to it? Like, or do you have a good relationship with it? Were you able to develop that healthy division between having social media but not comparing, complaining? What was the third one?
Criticizing.
Criticizing, comparing, complaining, and criticizing. Like, how did that adventure go? Like, how was it hard to do that? Let us know your
Probably
opinions.
Some people would probably be going through it a little bit, man. It's definitely like a addiction, like you said,
Yeah.
like trying to quit smoking, probably trying to quit.
Yep, same
being on
thing.
Social media, same shit.
I didn't
Maybe
even
a
know I
little
was
bit.
addicted.
I still whip out my phone and I don't have social media. I look at my
Same.
home screen for 5 minutes and then close it.
That's what
Yep.
I'm saying.
That's the addiction part.
I didn't even know that I was addicted, and I'm pretty sure lots of people probably don't know that they are too.
Yeah,
And
that's,
I'm not no therapist. I'm not no listen to me. I'm right. I'm him. But that's my personal experience.
the first way to resolve a problem is to admit you have it.
100%.
Can't admit that you're addicted to something, you'll never not be addicted to it.
I learned that throughout this podcast. The whole vulnerability, me getting vulnerable with you guys, with Brianna, with the
It's
viewers.
hard.
It's very hard, but that was able to let me be at peace with myself more.
Yeah.
Because I'm teaching. I seen this quote not too long ago, and it was saying something about having to when you teach, you find out what you need to learn because you teach what you need to learn. And it's hard to kind of decipher that because if you think about it, if you teach what you need to learn, it's really hard to teach that because you haven't learned it yet. But it's just able to open up both doors.
It's able to look at, like, this is the example that I use, but it's able to look at life through different sunglasses, different pairs of glasses. I might not, like, when I try to teach your dad certain things about boxing, he's obviously a better boxer than me. I wouldn't say in any sense I'm a better boxer than him, but I definitely try to teach him something every single time we hold mitts. I'm teaching him things like, oh, hey,
It's not
you're dropping your hand too much. I might do the same thing, but I notice it that he's not dropping his hand. So now I'm conscientious about it. Like, oh, wait, am I doing that?
Yeah.
Like, is that something I have to work on?
That's a good point right there.
Honestly, I would say, like, obviously he's a very good boxer. He knows what he's doing, knows what he's talking about. But it's more so he just fuck you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not even he's a good boxer. He'll just fuck you up.
Just
Simple.
the power.
Just power. He knows how he's throwing. He knows what he's
But
throwing.
he also
he
has,
knows
like,
for himself. He knows knowledge for himself. You know what I'm saying?
He also has, like, the real life experience.
That's what
like,
I'm
he's
saying.
actually
He's
been
been
in
through
fights where he's knocked people out.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not more so, like, you're right. You have to tell him if his hand's dropping. It's for his own good. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day,
He doesn't need that info because he'll just throw anyways.
bro,
Yeah.
they'll kill us. It
Yeah.
don't matter.
No, 100%.
You know what I mean?
And that's cool of him to be able to be a more experienced boxer and a more experienced person in general, just at life, and to still be able to take tips and to still be able to.
He's really good
And he
at
loves
that.
it. He
He's
loves
really
it.
good at that. I'll
He
give it
tells
to
me.
him, man.
He tells you, man. He's like late at
Tell
night
me.
when I'm about to go to bed. He's like, I think of the stuff that you tell me.
Yeah, he says the same thing.
Before I go to bed, I try to think about a couple of those things and I try to change it for the next day.
He's the type of person that always wants to get better. So if you tell him something like that, he's not going to take it as any type of diss or anything, just pure constructive criticism.
I'll give him that, man. He's really good at that. I'll give him so much props. He'll listen.
That comes
Being
with age.
open-minded.
Yeah, very open-minded. I actually look up to him, man. I want to be
too.
like that.
That comes with age, man. When you look through people's glasses and you look through enough of them, you start to realize that there's not one way of life.
For sure. I feel like there's a lot of people around him that were maybe closed-minded. So he was like,
He
I
doesn't
don't know
like
if I
it.
like that.
Yep.
Which
you
I
realize
really
how
admire.
negative having a closed mind is.
For sure. I really admire that too because as a father figure in my life, I was able to look at that and be like, damn. And same with you guys too. Like at the end, I'm not saying he's a father figure for you guys, but yo, he's like
He's an adult
Someone
figure.
I look up to,
Yeah.
I tell you that. Like, he's so calm, cool, collected all the time. Like,
it's crazy.
I look at that. I want to be like that.
Me too. And he would appreciate all these words. Shout out to Pops, man.
Word.
He still hasn't watched this, but I told him to. Told him to get in here.
He will. But
Anyways.
I just wanted to mention this one thing when we were talking
Alright.
about open-minded and closed-mindedness. I seen this quote by Dwayne Wade that said, when you're open-minded, the opportunities and the experiences that you have in life are going to be the most wild things ever. But if you're closed-minded, you're just going to continuously be in the same box.
Same box.
Yeah, so it's just a very simple quote that I liked, and I feel like you can relate that to all aspects of life. But what do you guys say? I think this was a solid episode.
Solid
We
episode,
should end it off
man.
on that. This is OneThird's opinion on phone addiction, social media addiction, and technology with children. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode. You sleep for 1/3 of your life. You work for 1/3 of your life. What are you going to do with the rest?
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 1/3 out, baby.